Hey guys, this is here bringing you another video. Welcome back to the patch note breakdown. So apologies for not missing the last one. I was actually on my holiday slash honeymoon slash baby moon, so that's why I didn't record one. I will say I'm a bit dressed up. I just got back from meeting our wedding celebrant this evening, so it's a bit late. I'm quite tired because obviously we were basically getting to know them. They were getting to know us and kind of talking a lot. That we're, eventually going to be doing all the vows and stuff. So I'm a bit tired, but we're going to try and do the patch note. But if it's not the absolute most thorough, hopefully you guys don't mind. But let's get into it. So, we have got, whoa, that's a lot of nerfs. I guess, obviously, a pro play tournament has just finished, so now they can nerf some things down, potentially. So we got nerfs to Alistair, Belveth, Brom, Aurelia, Master Yi, Neela, Pantheon, Quinn, Rel. And then we got buffs to Kled. Then adjustments to Corki, Alawi, and Rek'Sai. System changes to Baron, and then we've got the skin line. Now, this skin line, I will say, was the technical last thing that was under the NDA from the Berlin trip. So yeah, I think it was taken mixed even when we were in Berlin. I don't love this skin line, but you know why Wright's doing it. They're trying to make some money, so. Yeah, but anyway, let's get into it. So, ability previews and champ select. Oh, that's cool. That's something that I didn't even know this was coming. That's something that probably has been needed for a long time. So when you get to pick a champion, you'll actually see like a little video potentially of like, this is what the champion does. So obviously more for new players, but I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, that's nice. Obviously the Battle of Koshin, which is that side-scrolling fighter kind of game. They're doing a bit of an update to that, so you can kind of do more of it, I guess. System changes. So the Baron. So Baron Nashor has passive health regen, which means his health can tick over your smite. Whoa. Interesting. So, and rob you of an item kill. Let's not have him do that. As compensation. Oh, so they're basically changing. So right now, Baron has just regen in his health. But, which means you could perfectly time in theory a 1250 smite, but in that split second the health regen could tick, so where it would have been a perfectly timed smite, boom, you didn't get it, he was like over 1300 health with a health tick. So they're actually changing that he no longer probably has health regen, but 100 base health he's gaining because of it. So that's cool. So in theory, junglers could actually be more accurate with smites now because there's not the whole health thing happening. So yeah, they're basically the base health of Baron is going up by 100 and his health regen is gone. So that's kind of cool. But out of combat, so when, if you kind of get bullied off the Baron, his health regen still ticks up. It's just in combat. Let's get into the champion changes. So I would say the format of it looks a bit weird, but okay. Alistair, base armor reduced, but they're not telling us what it is. Yeah, they haven't told us what it is, but Belveth one they have. It seems like they haven't fully completed the formatting of the patch notes, but you can see here, that's what they're doing. So while 7 armor may seem like a drastic change, so that he's having a 7 armor base armor nerf, yeah, that is quite a big nerf, by the way. But Alistair's been fantastic recently alongside Rel and Brom. Leona as well has been pretty good too. But obviously the thing that Alistair has kind of, you could say, I can't even remember, is Bard getting a nerf or no? I don't think Bard's, no. So like Alistair has been one of these supports that sometimes takes that spell book and he's roaming up the top lane very early, like a Bard. So he's been very on it in recent weeks. So I'm not too shocked he's getting a nerf. And yeah, 7 armor is going to have to make, basically that's the difference of making an Alistair really think about and engage in the early game, where right now he probably just gets away with it. Now he may genuinely die. 7 armor is a decent amount. Belveth, base armor again going down from 47 to 40. Oh no, I know what's happened here. So this is the Alistair one. Okay, so it's format's weird. So that's the Alistair one. Belveth is down here. So yeah, they've kind of broken the formatting. So yeah, this is Belveth's. So passive attack speed increased from levels 2 to 18. Q damage to champions decreased, however. So more going for on hit, less pure kind of ability using a Q getting a kill. So attack speed per stack was 0.28 to 1%. It's now 0.28 to 1.1, so technically better, more attack speed. And obviously, I believe that those are the stacks you're gaining, for collecting the corals and stuff like that. And then the Q, so the directional kind of on timer Q, damage to champions is going down, so it's actually going to do 0 damage at rank 1, but obviously plus the total AD, so it will be doing damage, but there'll be no base damage. And then it's still a low amount, obviously, because it's mainly about the AD, but then the damage to monsters is, I guess, unchanged. But yeah, that kind of means that she's not going to be as good at fighting people early, but obviously Belvith is supposed to be a hyper scaling kind of hyper carry, so I'm kind of okay with that. Brom, another one of these fantastic supports again, is that absolute literal brick wall, and you can't really do much to him. So yeah, I'm fine with a nerf to him. So yeah, the changes here. So base armor going from 42 to 35. So that's again a 7 armor nerf like what Alistair had. And he's getting an armor growth nerf. So that I guess they think, and I would agree, he is stronger than Alistair right now. So they're kind of hitting him double in base and scaling. He'll still be tanky. It's Brom, but I think it has been a little bit overly strong. So I'm fine with that. Brom is very good at the moment. Corki, again, formatting is so weird. There we go. So the Q damage formula has been adjusted and the R damage has been increased. So we're delivering some adjustments to Corki with the intent of pushing him towards squishier high AD builds and slightly toning down his extremely potent late laning phase spike while still maintaining his presence as a strong laner. So the Q, the water gun, is getting less base damage starting at rank 2 technically, but is going up by 10% bonus AD. So better for scaling in the long run. So, at maximum, you're losing 20 base damage, but with a 10% better ratio, you'll be gaining a lot more into mid to late game when you have a lot of AD. So that is a net buff for scaling as Corki. And then the missiles, again, is getting a bonus AD buff. So they're, right now I would say Corgi hasn't been a great late game champion. He is more of a lane bully. This is pushing him to have better scaling for mid to late game. So I'm okay with that. He'll probably still be pretty decent as well in lane phase. These aren't massive nerfs over here. And, his W is still absolutely insane going all in if you can in lane phase. So I'm cool with that. Alawi. So quite a lot, I guess, for Alawi. So the passive damage has been increased, but the E has been adjusted. So the thing with Alawi, I like the champion, but she has somewhat of an unhealthy playstyle. Land the E, slam, slam, slam. You're not really interacting with her, and you're just kind of getting killed by a fart, and then she'll eventually all in you. It's not great, so I don't know if what they're doing is trying to change that. So we're delivering some Alawi adjustments with the goal of reducing her more frustrating outputs for her opponents. No longer will you have to dodge freshly spawning tentacles for a full 10 seconds. In its stead, we're giving Alawi some disturbed extra power by making her E overall more responsive and generally increasing her damage. Most notably, she will now get 2 slams for the Test of Spirits first phase before level 7. Our desire for this change is a small net power increase, and always will measure how this lands. So again, they are basically saying it should be more powerful, but hey, if it's too powerful, we're going to nerf it pretty quick. So passive is getting technically a buff in scaling, so 5% AP ratio increase. Tooltip now fully shows full ability damage that updates with ranks in Cube. And then the E, tentacle attack timer, is going down, so that means tentacles will attack more often. However, when you get hit by the E, the vessel duration is only lasting 3 seconds. So I believe this isn't that little spirit, I don't think. Like when she lands an E on you, she then has that moment to try and kill it before it despawns. I don't think that's what this is. I think this is she lands an E on you, and it's that after effect of she has killed the spirit, or you run out of range and it automatically summons you, like, tentacles around you. I think that's what this is. I think instead of it lasting 10 seconds that tentacles are spawning and trying to kill you, they're only lasting 3 seconds. However, they'll attack a little bit more often. But obviously, they've given her a slight passive damage increase, so she will be doing more damage but it's just less all the time, I guess. So that's quite interesting. Yeah. Aurelia, health regen decreased. So the health regen, whoa, that's a big nerf. 6 health regen is going down to 3.5. That's nearly a 50% decrease. That's one of the biggest nerfs I've actually seen in a while. Obviously, goes without saying, that's just base health regen. That's when you're just standing still, your health is just naturally regenning. Aurelia obviously builds Blade of the Ruined King, which is a lifesteal item. Her Q obviously heals as well, from I think last hitting minions or just even using it. So she has healing within her kit, and I guess recently it's just been a bit too much healing. So Aurelia's power level has taken off between the recent direct buffs and last patch Blade of the Ruined King changes. So yeah, she is being toned down a little bit, but her damage is being left untouched. Mr. Kled, passive dismounted resistance increased. So Kled's builds and overall shape landed extremely well. So they basically tried to get him away from being that full lethality one-shot Kled. They want to turn him more into the bruiser he is supposed to be. And they're saying it went well, but he's a tiny bit weak. So they are just helping him a little bit by when he is dismounted, he is going to be a little bit tankier. So right now he gets a 1 to 2% bonus HP based on the nearby of enemy champions. But now it's 4 plus 1% bonus HP to 10, 2.5 bonus HP based on the number of nearby enemy champions. So yeah, he's going to be getting more health the more enemy champions are around him. So if, you know, he ultimates right into the enemy 5-man, they knock him off Skull really quick. Well, if he's around 5 people, he's actually going to have quite a lot of bonus health when he's not on Skull. So then he can hopefully earn enough Fury or whatever to bring Skull back. So I'm cool with that. I've not really seen much Kled, I will say, since the change. You know, in Master on Tier, there is a bunch of Kled specialists. But again, I've not played, I don't think I've played one since this change. And before the change, yeah, they all just kind of played in the one-shot style. So if that's not really a thing anymore, it would be interesting to see what this does. Ugh, Master Yi, I'm happy he's getting a nerf, because, yeah, he has been stupid. And, I will say, and I know sometimes in general, and maybe, I apologize for it, I do have strong opinions, but I think being a content creator, you should have opinions on things, and you should show your opinions. That's what makes you a human being, almost. And I do think Riot has gone a bit of a wrong direction in the last couple of years. I truly do believe that it was healthier for the game. And although I do think League is in a pretty good state of balance overall at the moment, more of a direction Riot has gone was we want to make every champion viable in every single rank. I don't think that's healthy. I think it's really hard to have something like Master Yi that can be played in Iron 4 and can be played in Challenger. I think that's really difficult because of fundamentally he is so basic, you only can really buff his stats. And if his stats are too weak, if they're too strong, then he just takes over high rating games because there's not massively outplay potential if his stats are too strong. But then if his stats are too weak, then he's going to be useless in low rating. It was better in my mind when they were like, right, we're kind of designing him to be a lower rated champion. He's balanced around that. And it's kind of a disadvantage if you're picking him in high rating. But that's not the direction Riot's gone. And it's not just Master Yi, by the way. That's more the direction in general. Like, they don't balance Azir just for high rating nowadays. They try to make Azir viable in bronze and stuff. I think that's harder overall to kind of have a complete package of good health in the game. So that's what I would say. But what are they doing? So Q damage reduced for low AD builds. So as with Belveth, Master Yi was a big winner from the Blade of the Ruined King and Kraken Slayer buffs. So we need to take him down a peg to remain balanced. We're taking down some of his Alpha Strike burst in lower AD builds. So just to say, what's a lower AD build? That's the on-hit stuff. So Blade of the Ruined King, Kraken Slayer, Wit's End. It's the attack speed orientation stuff that more wants to auto-attack a lot with on-hit effects rather than being like, Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Master Yi that some people, I guess, play. So we're taking down some of to put his higher AD crit builds closer to his high attack speed on hit builds. So yeah, they're just trying to bring it closer together. So the damage overall by base damage is going down, already at rank 1, and then a bigger nerf eventually at rank 5. But then you're like, wait, it's a 20% buff. So what this is doing is if you're going an on-hit build, you're not really gaining that much total AD. So this is a net nerf for the on-hit builds. But if you're a Master Yi that likes going, you know, Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, big AD items, well, then it should be okay because you're gaining more AD. So it should level itself out a little bit, but be overall healthier for the more common on-hit build. And then the monster damage, obviously, as well, is going down, but having the same AD ratio buff. So I'm fine with that. You know, when you are against an on-hit Master Yi, fundamentally the thing that should be doing damage to you is the auto attacks, not the Q. So yeah. Neela, base AD increased, attack speed, growth decrease. I don't see a lot of Neela. So Neela is the winningest bot laner in League of Legends, and while someone has to be on top, she's ahead by a little more than we think. So apparently they think she's too strong. I cannot tell you the last time I saw a Neela, so I have no idea. So base AD is going up to 60, but the attack speed growth is going down. What rating is that for? Do they still do that? Oh, they do. So the colors next to the champions give you what technically tier they're in theory balancing. And you notice most of these have multiple colors because they're trying to balance for all ranks now. That's kind of the point. So again, being colorblind isn't the most useful thing, but the pro one is the one that stands out in my eyes. So I can tell that Neela, it's average play, skill play, and elite play, which, by the way, elite play is all the way up to challenger. The only thing that they're not balancing is that she's not a problem, apparently, in pro play. But speaking as someone, obviously, that has now been master for a few months, playing, you know, I do play more League of Legends now than I pretty much ever have, by the way. You know, I'm playing a lot. I don't see Neela's. So, bit of a weird one for me. You know, normally in Master and above, that's where you'll see the really strong champions because people are really kind of on it and wanting to climb. I don't see Neela's. So, who knows? Maybe, again, the thing is that I've always, you know, we're having a balanced patch, and this is an entirety of League of Legends thing. Obviously, every single region is different. So this could be a thing that maybe Master EU West people don't really play that much Neela, but maybe Master China or Master Korea or Master NA, maybe Neela is the thing right now. It does vary from region to region, you know. So historically, and I think it has changed. Obviously, historically, Rivens in solo queue were like the North American thing. There's hundreds of Riven one-tricks now in high rating EU West. So I think that has kind of equalized. But different regions are known for different champions, so maybe this is one of those cases, because I just don't see Neela's at all. But yeah, let me know if you see Neela's. So yeah, that's so basically maybe trying to shift her a little bit into more of an AD build. I don't know. Pantheon, pretty strong champion right now. Like the thing with Pantheon, and people may say, "Oh, Huz, you don't love Pantheon." I don't love Pantheon in a carry position. I don't love Pantheon if you're picking Pantheon top or you're picking some Pantheon jungle and you don't have a hyper carry on the side, you know, waiting. I like Pantheon, and I like Renekton. I like these early game power picks that if you have a hyper carry, if you've got a Smolder or a Yunara or something waiting and they just need time, a Pantheon jungle right now can buy your team time. That's what he's perfect at doing. He's very strong right now in that mid or early to mid game. He can buy time. He wins most fights in the early game. Objectively, he's very good. He can use his ultimate, so he's got global pressure. He's very good at having that presence that a late game hyper carry wants to have to get to late game. So I do think he has been quite strong. And what I like here is they're just nerfing his monster damage. So his clear is decent. It is one of the strongest. But what they're doing is they're not touching anything with his scaling. They're not touching his damage in trades. They're not touching his ultimate cooldown. They're just going, he is very strong. His clear is decent, so he can be actively involved on the map very heavily, and he's strong in other elements. So what they're just basically going, we're just going to slow down his jungle clear time a bit. So he's not as efficient. So where right now, in that early to mid power of controlling the map, he's not going to be on it all the time. That's actually a really smart change. So I like that. That's actually really smart. So 105% for his Q, which obviously is the thing that he pokes a lot, to 90%. I think that's fine. And obviously they're not nerfing at all his top lane potential or his even support potential. That won't even affect it whatsoever. That's cool. Quinn. So Quinn, most effective builds, namely Static Shiv and Symbiotic. So the thing with that build, I will say, it's technically, I would say, not her strongest build per se. It's the build that gets her to mid-game the easiest. So symbiotic souls 100% definitely needed on Quinn, because you're constantly wanting to base, fly around as a pigeon, do a play, base, then run back to top lane or whatever. But the static shiv element, so it doesn't do as much damage as like the Tiamat, the AoE Tiamat item, whatever it is, Profane Hydra. That does more damage, but the static shiv, you can probably buy it a little bit quicker. It gives you a bit more wave clear at a safer range, and that's the big element. If a Quinn gets caught by even most melee champions in top lane, he's probably dead. But static shiv, I'm just clearing up wave from afar. You can't really hit me, where obviously the Profane Hydra, very effective wave clear, but you have to be closer really to use it properly. So this is the safer build. And, you know, people kind of, I would say, underestimate Quinn's scaling. She is a monster if she gets to mid to late game, namely if there aren't huge tanks in the game. If it's a relatively low health, squishier game, she can fly around and one-shot everybody in mid to late game. Like, she's mental. When you get like 3-4 items on her, ooh. So they are actually nerfing her. So the blinding assault, are they nerfing her? Yes, they are. Ooh, what are they doing? Oh, interesting. So they're taking a stab at her health in the later laning phase, where she probably gets a bit too safe, weakening her wave clear. So that's the thing, that she wave clears, goes in pigeon form, flies away, and the enemy top laner is like, I'm still clearing the wave, hello? And then Quinn's got like a kill in mid. You're like, oh. So the queue right now, and this is this wrong? Am I dumb? So the damage of it, Q damage decreased, but the damage was 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. It's now 65 up to 205, so that's double. And then the AD was 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. It's 80, 90, 100. Ah, I found it. It's total AD versus bonus AD. Okay, we found it. So total AD includes your base AD that you have within your champion, and when you're leveling up, you're getting bonus, like your standard AD that your champion has. Bonus AD is only the AD that you're buying from items, basically. So it is a net nerf. So yeah, okay. I will say, like, that is a pretty decent base damage buff, though. Obviously, you're not technically maxing Q on Quinn. You're maxing W and then Q. Well, so your ultimate first, but yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty generous with the Q, so it will do decent damage still. And obviously, the thing with the Q, and that maybe what they're kind of liking here, and maybe it's the thing, is you do have to be accurate with it. You do have to land it. It is a skill shot. So, yeah, okay. Rek'Sai. Base armor and armor growth decreased. W lockout decreased at higher ranks, and E deals adjusted true damage and R got a lot of adjustments and R adjusted. I remember a couple, week ago or whatever, I played against that very peculiar player, that one trick Rek'Sai top lane player. It was very weird. I don't really know how it works. Like, again, we kind of destroyed it in the end, and that's when I was like, oh my god, if the Nidalee just came top lane, she'd have a fully stacked Medjai's. Somehow it works. Clearly, that player's master as a one-trick Rek'Sai player. But I think the way that I was playing it, I was like, right, they want to go proxy and get to mid to late game. I'm not going to let them. So I just constantly was on the Rek'Sai, not letting them do what they wanted to do. And I think that was quite a big thing in foiling their strength. If you just let them do what they do, Rek'Sai's a strong scaling champion. So what are they doing? So base armor going down by 1, armor growth also going down, so less tanky. The knock-up lockout is going down, so hilariously that's going to help the top lane Rek'Sai a lot more. So just to sort of say how that works, say you're borrowed as Rek'Sai, you knock somebody up, you cannot knock that same player up, used to be, for 10 seconds. So if you're top lane Rek'Sai, you can only 10 seconds do it. But now, when you max your W, every 6 seconds you'll be able to do it. And obviously that's a big form of CC. So this is probably a better thing for the top lane Rek'Sai player than even the jungle. The E, empowered damage was... Ooh, that's a nerf, however, I will say, for top lane Rek'Sai more. The reason why I say that, it used to do target max HP. So that's where a Rek'Sai could, like, see, hello, Cho'Gath, hello, Mundo, with your big health. I'm just going to chunk 14% at a time, which is a lot. It doesn't do that now. So it's a bonus AD ratio rather than doing target max health. Yeah, that's a nerf in areas. Will that help kill a squishier target? Probably better. Most likely. Will that hurt her killing tank stuff? Most likely, yeah. So it's changing what she's technically good against, I guess. The unempowered damage as well, by the way, is kind of where it used to be total AD. It's now bonus AD, which is less damage, but is having base damage where it used to have no base damage. And then the 80% of the empowered damage is also coming from that as well. And then you can do it more often, but it probably technically does less damage than it used to on average, so you get to do it more often. And then the ultimate, the damage as well. So you are gaining, okay, so you're gaining the pressure on killing tanks. You're gaining that away from your E, which you could do obviously a lot more often. You're gaining that with your ultimate. So it used to do missing HP damage, so I guess a bit of an execute. It's now doing target max HP, so it's actually technically better at, I guess, using this initially rather than saving it to the end of a fight to execute somebody. The cooldown of it is also going up early, but going down, staying the same late. But yeah, because it's more powerful, they're putting it on a higher cooldown. Cooldown on an interrupted cast from target dying. Oh, so if while you're in the wind up and you're going to jump on somebody, it used to not fully use the cooldown. But I will say some champions definitely would still use the cooldown, where I guess Rek'Sai's was more forgiving. It was a 10-second cooldown, then you can use it. They're making it even more forgiving. It's a 5-second cooldown, then you can use it. And that's, by the way, if you're winding it up, you're about to, you're doing the scream, I'm going to jump on your face. Oh, they died. I would say that is pretty forgiving. A lot of champions in League, the ultimate would just still go off and it's not used on anybody. So, But anyway, that's that. It's interesting. So, you know, I actually would say for the top lane Rek'Sai, this is probably worse on average. For jungle Rek'Sai, this is better. And that's the thing. You know, the actual role of this champion is jungle, so that's what Riot is trying to make it healthier at. The top lane player I played, obviously that's a very obscure playstyle, so Riot aren't even probably thinking about top lane Rek'Sai when they do this. So yeah. Rel, W shield increase, decrease. So obviously, yeah, Rel, Alistair, Brom, the tanky supports have been much superior than any enchanters recently. So they are just toning basically them all down. So the shield is going down by base by 20 to 25, but the max HP is staying, so it would still be pretty strong, but they're just toning that kind of excess off, which I think is fine. ARAM balance stuff, which, you know, I like ARAM, but I don't need to go through a patch note. So yeah, the Sanctum and Mythic shop, so the Ari skin is now the new Sanctum thingy. There's a Prestige shirtless Phalios or whatever. But yeah, if you like those skins, all power to you. I don't love them. I think they come across a bit cheap. Jesus Christ. The only one I like is the Teemo one. So, you know, I'll probably use that one, but that's about it. But there we go. Actually, not the biggest patch. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will be getting this out, obviously, today. If you guys appreciate that, do throw a like on it. Let me know what you think of the patch. And yeah, hopefully tomorrow will be a good recording session and stuff. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace. Call down!